Hello and welcome to day 19 of your 30-day yoga journey, Spring Awakening with me, Noelle. Continuing our week of the spring equinox, today's flow is going to be called the Harmony of Opposites. And so, also continuing our alignment and our articulation of alignment, we are going to still fixate on that, but in particular, this almost like yin and yang energy in each posture. So even when you're sitting down in your sukhasana, as your sitting bones are actively grounding into the earth, your spine, the top of your head, is reaching towards the towards the sky upwards. It's not obviously like a huge action. It's more of like an energy or a feeling, like a manifestation. And so you're not slumping or anything, but really trying to envision that as your tailbone is rooting down, the crown of your head is reaching up. And so we're going to do that in a lot of expressions today in tabletop. So really playing with our dunda in particular, like I said, that spinal energy, and hopefully you'll have some fun. And yeah, let's just get started. Today we're going to start on our bellies. So coming into a sphinx for a moment here, pressing into the tops of your feet. And to begin, let's just bring our forehead to the backs of our hands and close your eyes, settle in. Day 19. What a beautiful journey it's been so far. Begin to connect to your breath. Set an intention, or maybe begin with a mantra. Your options and your opportunities this week are always: I align, I am articulate, I am balanced. But feel free to make it whatever works for you today. Showing up as you are without judgment. Maybe you rock the forehead gently side to side and get just a little bit of a forehead massage, relaxing any muscles or tension in the face or the jaw. And then we'll begin. So we are going to come into Cobra. So bring your hands in line with the rib cage and hug your elbows in towards your spine, basically. So they're not flailing out, they're actively hugging in, and your shoulders are drawing down. And we're going to sit here for a moment, just really filling out this expression. So that active hugging energy, your hands gripping into the yoga mat, the tops of your feet pressing into the earth, and the crown of your head reaching forward. Your chin will be slightly tucked, but not like this huge action. Just remembering that your neck is an extension of the spine. Breathe into your belly, fill it as you feel it rise on your yoga mat, maybe. Take 3 big breaths here. In through the nose, out through the nose. Getting a slight back bend, engaging the core so we protect the lower spine, the lower back. And then release. Coming back to the backs of your hands. And then this time, bring your hands behind you, kind of, so like you're in almost like a superhero pose. And come back into that cobra position with the upper body, but press into your hands. So the tops of your feet and your hands are now both pressing into the yoga mat as your upper body is in a low cobra. Feeling that opposition already, but feeling strong, feeling grounded, feeling powerful even in this stagnant, strong posture. As you're reaching and pressing, elongating your breaths. And then release. Maybe you swivel the hips a little bit. Maybe you take a really big releasing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. This time, come back into that posture we were just in. And as you rise up, bring your hands off the floor and see if you can also get your feet off the ground. So you're coming into this floating superhero kind of posture. So your belly is pressing into the earth, your pubic bone is pressing into the earth, drawing your shoulders away from the ears as we find this superhero position, nice and strong. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. All right, coming back. This time, as you reach your hands back, bend in your knees and see if you can grab the tops of your feet or your ankles. So you're coming into this bow expression. And so as you are holding onto your feet here, you're not pulling your feet in towards your bum, but you're actually actively pressing out and away with your feet into your hands. And so your feet are pressing away as your hands are grabbing on, opening your heart center. You can stay nice and low here, or maybe you kind of really find a nice floating kind of expression, active energy in your toes, active energy in your legs. Your legs are working hard, making sure your spine isn't collapsing anywhere and you're not forcing anything. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, and then press your way into a tabletop position. Shoulders above your wrists and your knees underneath your hips. Feel free to just take a couple cat-cows for a moment here. We did some spinal work there with our cobra and our bow, but we didn't really get to round the spine at all. So maybe take 2 to 3 breaths here, breathing into the side body, the spine. And then come to find yourself back in tabletop. Once again, really articulating our dunda, our spine. So pressing away from our yoga mat, pressing into our toes. And then core is engaged. The top of your head is reaching forward, forward, forward as your tail is reaching back. And we feel the strength in this stagnant asana. You should almost feel weightless. I know we're feeling strong, but when everything's working together, this union, what yoga is, everything working together, especially in, like a tabletop position, you almost feel a little weightless. All right, from here, we're going to come into a little bird dog float. So let's kick out our left foot and see if we can hover it off the mat and then reach our right hand forward. So we're in this hovering half table. Actively reaching forward with that right hand and kicking out and away with that left hand, making sure we're not collapsing into the left side or maybe into that right hip. And here's what the flow is going to look like. We're going to reach forward, inhale, then exhale, we're going to come into a cactus arm and like a fire hydrant peeing dog with the legs. And then we're going to inhale, extend again, and then exhale, knee to nose, connecting to our breath and staying in touch with a very sturdy alignment. So let's do it together. Inhale, reach. Exhale, cactus your arm and your leg. Inhale, reach. Exhale, knee to elbow / knee to nose. 2 more like that. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fire hydrant and cactus. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bring it all in. Last one. I know this is super challenging, but it's super great. Inhale, reach, extend. Exhale, fire hydrant and cactus. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it all into center. And come back to your tabletop. If you need to come on your heels for a second and do some wrist rotations, please do. And this is also a good opportunity because I forgot. We will want a block at the top of our yoga mat. Bring 2 if you think you might need it. We're going to come into a warrior 3 and a half moon variation. So if you think that with either of those postures you would like a block, perfect opportunity to do some wrist therapy. Grab your blocks. Sorry for not mentioning that earlier. And then we'll all meet back in our tabletop. Connect to your alignment. Stay connected to your breath. And then kick your right foot out. Reach your left hand out in front of you and hover that right foot off the ground. Right toes are actively pressing down towards the earth, pointing down more than pressing. But we're pressing out and away and reaching forward, 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 not collapsing into our right side body or our left hip. And we find that little ditty on the other side. So inhale, reach. Exhale, cactus and fire hydrants. Inhale, reach. Gaze at the ground. Exhale, bring it all in to center, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend, kicking that foot out. Exhale, cactus and fire hydrant. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it all into center. Last one, you're doing great. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fire hydrant, cactus. Inhale, extend, connecting to that fire energy, that Agni. And then exhale, bring it all to center. Plant your palm, curl your toes under, maybe do a couple wrist circles with that right hand before you send it up and back into your downward facing dog. Pedal it out here and try to find some stillness. Taking 3 to 5 breaths to connect to your alignment. Maybe you begin to connect to an Ujjayi ocean's breath. Heels reaching towards the earth, spine nice and long, ears in line with the elbows. Coming back to your intention or maybe your mantra before we begin our flow. A nice fun flow for us today. And then when you're ready, drop your left heel, reach your right heel towards the sky, keeping a nice square hip. Exhale, bring it in and through. Come find your blocks or bring your hands to the earth for warrior 3. If you're feeling strong and brave, you can bring your hands behind you, in front of you, or at your heart center. The hands reaching forward will be the most difficult. So find your variation. And then from here, plant your right hand either to a block or to the floor. Sorry, your left hand. Plant your left hand to a block or to the floor because we're going to come into a revolved half moon. So your right hand is going to reach up towards the sky as your left foot kicks out. Sorry about that. And then your right hand can come to the small of your back. That kind of reminds you to keep your hips nice and square. Or you can come into a nice big opening here. It's a nice wonky posture, revolved half moon. It's a very humbling one. Couple more breaths here. Kicking out with that left foot, keeping that active energy. And then listen carefully. Step your left foot back, staying high in your lunge, and then windmill your arms open, bringing your right hand to rest on your left leg, coming into a revolved crescent lunge. Take a look at the screen if you need to. Generous bend in that front knee, actively kicking that heel towards the back of our mats. As our left hand is reaching behind us, we are still leaning forward with that front knee. A lot going on here. And then from here, plant your left palm and see if you can bring your right foot up and over, coming to Vashisthasana for a moment, and then opening up and finding your wild thing. Right hand reaching up and overhead. On the knife edge of that left foot, reaching as you're kicking away from your yoga mat, pressing away from your yoga mat. Super strong, super open. And then bring that right leg up and over, planting it about halfway into the middle of your yoga mat. Lower your hips, finding revolved skandasana. Right hand comes to point towards the back of your yoga mat. Make sure you're not collapsing in your in your left shoulder. So your left ear is away from your left shoulder. Feeling this gorgeous opening in your left side body. Now we're going to fly or float or revolve skandasana. So pressing away from your yoga mat, lift your hips up and reach your right hand up and overhead. And then exhale, float, melt your way back down. 2 more just like that. Inhale, reaching and rising. Exhale, melting back down. Last one. Inhale, reach up and over. And then as your hand comes up and over, plant it to the top of your yoga mat and step back into a plank and hold. We're not going anywhere. So we're going to stay here for about 5 or so breaths. So finding your danda, connecting to your core. Maybe you rock forward and back a little bit, so then you can find that happy middle spot of where you feel your strongest, where you feel most balanced. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back into your downward facing dog. 3 nice and releasing breaths here. Now, drop your right heel, reach your left heel towards the sky, keeping that square hip. Exhale, bring it in and through, finding your warrior 3, either hand to the floor, blocks, heart center, forwards or backwards. Super strong, connecting to that danda, kicking that right foot into an imaginary wall. Super strong, drishti at the ground, feeling focused, feeling balanced. And then locate your block and plant your right hand down and open your left hand into a revolved half moon. So either bring that left hand to the small of your back for a little hip check-in, or keeping it nice and open. Gaze can be at your left fingertips or at the ground. Feeling into all the wobbles. Feeling that fire, that heat that we're building. Even though we're not doing a million vinyasas, we're working hard. Working hard in the stillness, working hard in our alignment, hard in our articulation. And then take a beautiful step back, opening and windmilling your arms into that revolved crescent lunge. seeing how low you can get in that front knee, kicking your right heel towards the back of the mat, this opposing energy that keeps us stable, that's always working together, the harmony of opposites. Just like the equal days and the equal nights that we have right now, that beautiful harmony of opposites. All right, windmill your arms so that your right hand comes down to the earth. Step your left foot over your right, coming into your wild thing on your right side. On the knife edge of that right foot, see if you can reach your left hand up and overhead, coming into this beautiful opening that we call wild thing. Maybe feeling a little fun and playful in this posture. Maybe you smile. And then coming into a side plank for a moment, bring that left foot in towards the middle of your mat, and then sink your hips down, coming into a revolved Skandasana. Pressing out of your yoga mat, making sure there's healthy distance between your right ear and right shoulder. Pressing into everything that's touching your yoga mat as we breathe. Feeling that beautiful right side body stretch. On your next inhale, press away from your yoga mat and rise up and overhead with your left hand, coming into this plank-like revolved Skandasana, and then exhale, melt it back down. 2 more just like that. Inhale, reach and lift. Exhale, melt and lower. Last time, inhale, reach and lift. Exhale, melt and lower. And then come to plant your left palm at the top of your yoga mat once again. Come into your plank and hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower all the way down. Revisit our beautiful cobra from earlier, pressing into the tops of your feet, hugging your elbows in. And then we'll all meet in an extended child's pose. Or actually, let's bring our knees together. Let's do Balasana. So knees together, arms come to your sides. Maybe you rock gently side to side a little bit. Maybe you feel the sweat on your brow or your upper lip. Another beautiful mantra to work with this week of alignment, since alignment has been bringing in this fiery energy. You can repeat to yourself, I am strong. I am strong. If you lost your breath, connecting back to it here. And then slowly rise up. And we are going to do a little bit of a handstand play. So do not be afraid. We will make our way there by doing a little bit of warm-ups first. So we're not going to just jump right ahead unless you feel super duper duper comfortable. You do headstands all the time. Do you? And yeah, that's kind of how we're going to end our practice today. So in the light of spring energy and headstand energy, we're going to come into bunny pose. And so bring your hands behind you and interlace your fingers right here for a moment. Let's just play with that opposing energy by pressing our hands down as we reach the crown of our head up towards the sky. A beautiful heart opener here. Breathe here into that beautiful heart space. And then you're gonna lean forward, melting your belly to your thighs, and then bring the top of your head to your yoga mat. Your feet will be about hip distance apart, pressing into the tops of your toes. Allow your hands, the interlaced hands, allow your, I feel like that was probably really loud. Allow your hands that are interlaced to just kind of float up and overhead. No forcing, just allow gravity to do the work here. See, right here, you're already in a headstand. So if this feels good, just stay here in this beautiful bunny pose. If the arms ever get too much, you can bring your hands underneath your shoulders like so. If the head, since we're never really on our heads, it can get kind of sore or uncomfortable pretty fast. Take breaks when you need to, but make sure when you come out of your headstand, you do it nice and slow. Since the blood is rushing opposite directions, we don't want to get lightheaded or anything. So just make sure you're nice and mindful when you come out, when you do need to take a break. And yeah, just be careful, be mindful, listen to your body. We are going to play with a tripod headstand. So bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, top of your head, the crown, onto your yoga mat once again. And from here, just see if you can lift your knees off the ground. If your knees are off the ground, maybe place your right knee on top of your right tricep. Your elbows are actively squeezing in towards each other. If this feels good, maybe you find your tripod by bringing both knees on the back of both triceps. If you feel comfortable, if you feel supported, take about 5 to 10 breaths, breathing deep. If this feels super good, you can even play with lifting one leg at a time, extending it nice and long, up into the air, active energy. Everything is super strong here, super balanced. And then maybe, just maybe, you find the full expression. Everything's hugging in, nice and strong. Staying connected to your breath. So taking 5 to 10 more breaths here to play around. Whether it's in your bunny pose or your tripod, or maybe you're finding headstand. If you need to come to a wall when you are playing with your headstand, please do. Just make sure you're listening to your body, being super careful, being super mindful. Just a couple more beats to play here. Hopefully you're having fun. If you get frustrated, shake it off. The sun just came through the window, so that's nice. And then we'll all unravel, coming back to a comfortable seat. Do just a couple twists here. So left hand to the outside of your right knee, right hand comes behind you. Maybe do some soft half neck circles. Goodness. Bring it back to center and take it on the other side. Being very mindful of the neck. Coming back to center, finding yourself in a nice comfortable seat. Bring your hands to heart center and close your eyes. The harmony of opposites. The yin and the yang. You need the good and the bad. Reflecting on this practice, on how you feel today, on maybe how you felt at the beginning of the practice versus after. As always, stay here as long as you'd like or take a shavasana. Otherwise, use this time to journal. We have those journal prompts for every single day as an option. Bow your head slightly, giving thanks for your body, for this day, for this journey, and for what's to come. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you again tomorrow for day 20. I'll see you then.